Welcome back to Indy 500 Evolution Career Mode 1965 season. It's been a while, hasn't it? So to give you a little bit of a refresher, after 4 races, last one was at Langhorne, this is how the points stack up. I actually did win the Indy 500, that's where the majority of my points came from, but Al Unser leads the points. Well, actually, he's tied with Lloyd Ruby for the points lead, but I think Unser has the tiebreaker with a win. Mario Andretti is only 1 point back in a tie with Don Branson for 3rd in the championship, and as you can see, I'm 5th. Parnelli Jones is 6th. Jim Clark, AJ Foyt, Bill Cheeseberg, Jim Hurtubise round out the top 10, all tied with 8 points. Some of the drivers hate me, so guys like Al Unser and Bill Cheeseberg are going to try to wreck me. And as you can see, the next event coming up in the championship is the Milwaukee 200. One of the races in this game that almost always turns into a major wreck fest. So, can we survive Milwaukee and try to claw back some of the points that we're lacking to Al Unser here on Indy 500 month? So here we are qualifying at the Milwaukee 200. Roger McCluskey is the first car out in a Hallebrand chassis. And now Cheeseberg, one of our rivals, or at least he considers me to be a rival, goes to the pole position at 123 miles per hour. Going to be looking down through the rest of the field. Len Sutton at 117. You can see the disparity between the cars in the field. We've already got a 6-mile-per-hour deficit between the fastest and the slowest car in the field as Gordon Johncock goes 118 and goes to 5th. And this is just how this race is going to be. There's going to be a lot of cars going a lot of different speeds as Dan Gurney qualifies onto the front row. George Snyder, again, another 117. So it looks like there's going to be a big cluster of cars around that speed, probably mid-pack. That's probably a mid-pack speed. There, Parnelli Jones knocks Gurney off the front row, but still nobody's got anything for Cheeseberg at the moment. Of course, we got some big... Oh, Al Miller. Al Miller coming out of nowhere and taking the pole away. I was going to say, we've got some big names down here through the rest of the field. A bigger field for the Milwaukee 200. About 6 or 7 more cars than you usually see at the Milwaukee 100, which is the race right after Indianapolis. You can see Al Unser, Mario Andretti, and it doesn't look like Jimmy Clark showed up for this one. But still some huge names to go out and qualify. And hey, guess what? We're the next one. So let's see where we stack up in this field. And oh, by the way, this has been the season of 1,000 different race cars for me. And this race is no exception. After I retired my Indy 500 winning Brawner-Hawk, I've decided to... I actually went back to 1964 for a couple of cars. I think I raced the Cooper in the last race from 1964. But I've decided to go with a 1965 Lotus. Maybe in our headcanon we can imagine that since Jim Clark didn't show up, I'm actually driving Jim Clark's 1965 Lotus, just painted up in the gold and blue of Land Speed Racing, car number 71. And so I think this is going to be the best weapon to try to take down some of those 123 mile-per-hour speeds. All right, heading out onto the Milwaukee Mile to start my qualification run here in the Lotus. The Lotus Ford, one of the better cars in this year of Indy 500 Evolution. And in real life, this was kind of the car to have, as Jim Clark proved in the real life Indy 500 when he won it. But we're going to have to see where we end up. Now, a lot of times you don't want to overcook it on the warm-up lap. I've done warm-up laps that are fast enough to qualify on the pole, and then I don't back it up on lap 1 and 2, the official laps anyway. And I forgot to shift. There's going to be a lot of shifting in this particular race with this particular car and with this particular gearbox. Maybe I should have gone with the 4-speed transmission, but I kind of want to have a little bit more of that acceleration off of these tight corners here at Milwaukee, as we've got Already a 121, so we're well ahead of those cars that are all clustered at 117 miles an hour. Didn't get the best exit off of 1 and 2. I definitely could have used a little bit more track there, but again, that's kind of the beauty of having a 2-lap qualification here. We can fix it on the second one. Try to get the car nice and low to kind of cure some of the understeer off, but I still didn't get the best exit. And as you can see, I'm slower on this lap than I was in warm-up, so that's no bueno. Stand on the gas out of the corner. Again, not using as much of the exit of the corner as I would like. Really arc it in here, turn in late. Oh, this is much better. It's a much better 3 and 4. I cracked the throttle a little bit, probably didn't need to. Ah, no, still not faster than the warm-up. Ain't that just the darndest thing? And guess who's on the pole? Mario Andretti in the car that I abandoned because I retired it. Maybe I should have stuck with the Brawner. But, yeah, lucky 13th for me. Al Unser, my points contender, is up there in 3rd position. Let's take a look at the full starting grid. Yeah, we're right mid-pack, which isn't great. We're right next to Johnny Rutherford. I don't think I could have done a 122, 124 for Mario. So he was standing on the gas. And you can see 26 cars. So we're literally mid-pack in the Milwaukee 200. So let's see if we're going to go forward or we're going to go back in this race. All right, here we go. And it's a little embarrassing to see a couple of front-engine roadsters out in front of me, so I definitely didn't nail qualifying. I can definitely tell that. But here we go. And we've already got trouble. You heard car number 29 is already has wrecked somewhere out on the track. As we get a run on Johnny Rutherford down the back straightaway here. Arnie Knepper looking to the inside. Oh, big understeer, and they're wrecking already, so there you go. You've already got a wreck. That was Knepper going 3 wide down there and cleaning out a couple of guys. Got to be careful of the push. I almost pushed up into Johnny Rutherford there. We got another car slow in front. Johnny Rutherford goes way out of the groove, and we'll get around him. This is going to be one wild race, I suspect. As Parnelli Jones, I believe, looks to the inside of Knepper. They make contact, and they're going into the wall. Jones and Knepper into the wall in turn 3. Oh, another crash. Another one hits the wall. Oh, A.J. Foyt was one of them. Almost getting into me there. Holy smoke, and that cleaned everybody out behind. Huge crash. That was Rutherford going head-on into the wall. We're already up to 6th spot. Holy smokes, and we're going to come through there again, and I suspect they're still going to be wrecking. Look at all this debris all over the track. Man, I promised a wreck fest. I just gave you one. And I haven't even, luckily, I haven't been involved in any of it yet. Lap cars are now going to be a factor because there's going to be cars coming out of the pits. Good grief.
Makes a pit stop. A great pit stop for car number 76, car number 24.
You can just hear how many cars poor Bob Jenkins has to list off as Jim Hurtubise. So that doesn't really surprise me that he's got a roadster running this well at a Milwaukee race. He was usually very fast at these races in period. And that's being proven once again.
No fuel this time for car number 66.
But we've had a very lucky race so far. Been avoiding a lot of the trouble.
Car number 14.
And it looks like the guys at the very back are Branson and Jones. Those are 2 drivers who were racing in the championship. They were both around us. So it's good. I guess it's not. You don't ever want to wish any ill on your competitors, but at the same time, I guess of the 2 that could have had some trouble, that was nice, at least for the cars specifically around us. Mario still leads the race. Not really a surprise there.
Car number 96 is smoking.
And Cheeseburg and Al Sr., or Al Unser, I don't even know if Jr. was alive yet. He may have just been born. Are still ahead of us, and there's tires all over the place. There was a car on the inside of the track that time. And that car may be retiring from the race because I don't know how it's going to get back to the pits from there without a rear wheel, which it looked like was missing. A little high in the groove there. Might be able to get a good exit out of it, though. Oh, yeah. We're not losing too much ground to Hurtubise. And I think once we start catching some of the lap cars, we'll be in pretty good shape. No pit stops expected. 50 laps at Milwaukee. While it'll be a pretty long race because of how slow the lap speeds are. Obviously, it's not going to be as long in distance as the 500 is. So we won't have to worry about tire wear or fuel consumption in this one. So we just begin to close the gap on Hurtubise here. We're starting to run some pretty decent laps. I'm getting a feel for the Lotus Ford. Finding out what it likes, what it doesn't like, and how to close in on this Roadster up in front of me. We're well up in the points. I believe the top 8 score points in this game. Kind of like the old F1 rules. So that's what we need to aim for. And of course, we're right where we need to be in terms of that. Roger McCluskey is the car directly behind us, but he's 5 seconds behind. He must have started deep in the field and was able to avoid some of the nonsense that happened behind me and in front of me, to be honest with you. And the race has calmed down for now, it seems. But again, we're only 10 laps in. In this race, I've seen crashes happen all throughout the race. Just wait till the field gets packed up again. I'm sure we'll really get the juices pumping. And of course, there's always those slower cars to deal with. They're looking like they're really packing up in front. And there they go, they're wrecking again. 2 cars into the wall. Oh, that was Mario. That was Mario. So the leader has been taken out in lap traffic, and I'm very lucky that that car stayed ghosted when I came through there. And all the while, I'm really closing down on Jim Hurtubise. Really closing down on him. Gaining quite a bit of ground here, especially into turn 1. It seems like the Lotus is real good on entry. And I think the corner exit's all down to the driver, right? So I'm not executing quite where I need to be. But unfortunately, car 45 is the leader, and I believe 45 is Al Sr. Even though they're trying to wreck in front, I noticed all sorts of tire smoke. Cars looked like they were getting into each other up there. That might have been Knepper in the I almost said the Lotus, but the Roadster. And there they go, they're wrecking again. Whoa, car upside down, that's Knepper. Oh man, another major crash. And I think that was Al Unser being caught up in it. So here we are. 47 is leading. 47, I believe, is Cheeseburg. So Cheeseburg now leads the race. Al Miller second, Jim Hurtubise third, and I am fourth. Boy, we better start chasing down Jim Hurtubise, because Jim Hurtubise may be the guy who ends up winning this race just by surviving right now. This is crazy. What a 14 laps in. We're not even close to halfway yet, and it's been this crazy. We've stayed out of it, though. We've stayed out of it. There's something to be said, especially in these longer races, about just pace yourself. Just pace yourself. You can see I've paced myself. We've all gotten all the way up from 13th to 4th, and I think I've passed maybe 1 or 2 cars. Competitively, anyway. Nobody directly behind me. Still got cars coming into the pits and making repairs, presumably.
Car number 66 is smoking.
We've already got another crash. You can hear 66 has crashed somewhere around the course. We've got a car coming out of the pits. We've got 2 hooking together. We've got a damaged car that just got T-boned. Holy smoke. Al Miller, I think that was one of the cars ahead of me, and indeed it was. There was a car crashed in the outside of the track, and then 2 cars got together and absolutely plowed into the stationary car. Good grief. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. This is the wildest race I've ever been in, and there's still a car Oh, God, I don't even know who that is. I don't even want to know who that is. Well, that may be a problem later on if that car never gets back going, because if more cars end up piling into that stationary car, that could be some more very nasty-looking accidents.
Car number 74.
And you can see every time we go by the pit road, the growing number of cars that are stationary there as well, meaning that they are officially out of the race. But yeah, we keep going by that completely destroyed car. And again, I don't have a clue who it is. I guess we'll eventually figure it out because there'll be cars that just stop being scored. And so we'll see them come up on the board. It might be Mario. I'm a little bit worried that it is. It's either Mario or... no, it wouldn't be John Cock because I think John Cock's in a Roadster. So I think it's Mario up there. And that is an ugly looking crash. That is yet to be cleaned up. I guess the USAC officials have decided that that can stay there. And I still hear there's another crash, as you could hear. Oh, have we lost that? No, that car is still up there with all the debris. Good Lord. Grim race here at Milwaukee. We're 2 seconds now behind Hurtubise.
Car number 81
we have gained time on McCluskey, but having to avoid the wrecking cars has not really aided my pursuit of Hurtubise.
No fuel this time for car number 81.
But I will tell you that I am really impressed with Jim Hurtubise. I remember I talked a little bit of crap at the beginning of the race about they've cleaned that car up finally. They finally cleaned the car up in the outside of the groove, so that's good. But yeah, I was talking a little bit of crap about the Roadsters.
Pit stop for car number 81.
I was disappointed that I qualified behind them, but looks like at least one of them has been performing quite admirably, and that is Jim Hurtubise. Still running around the 120-mile-an-hour range, so we're right where we qualified. But I need to find a little bit more speed to really challenge Hurtubise and possibly Cheeseburg here. They're both right out in front of me. I mean, those two cars that you see just out in front, those are Cheeseburg and Hurtubise, so it's not like they are running away by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, the gap isn't really closing in. And we've lost so many cars that I'm not entirely sure traffic is necessarily going to help me. It also depends if we haven't lost any of the cars that are truly way off the pace, like the ones that qualified at like 113, 115 miles an hour. Because some of those cars can help you out by slowing down some of your competitors. But we might have lost some of them in the massive amount of accidents that have happened today. Or we just haven't come around to lap them. That's another possibility. But usually this is about the point of the race, right about halfway, where we are now, when the lapping process begins. So get on the throttle. Try to run the car off the corner. Not very good that time, have to admit. Down a gear into fourth. Experimenting with a bit of a different line now, trying to run wide for quite a while, and then late apex, kind of diamond the corner off. Easy for me to say. Let's see if that helps me gain some speed here. Off the corner, definitely gaining quite a few tenths on Hurtubise. That gained nearly 7/10 of a second there on him. Out of that corner. But it doesn't seem like I'm gaining in the middle of the corner. No, it seems like I'm closing down a little bit. You've just got to balance that corner entry with the corner exit to really get it hooked up. McCluskey's still 4.7 seconds behind, so I don't have to worry as much about him. I actually am using the brakes as well, which a lot of times you don't have to use the brakes in Indy 500 Evolution. Definitely using them now. As Cheeseburg is coming through traffic, so he has caught the lappers in front of him. So we're going to see if Cheeseburg has any trouble coming through the lappers. There's certainly the possibility of that, though we haven't had any crashes in a while. Again, we might have lost enough cars that everybody settled down finally, or realized that there's been so many bad crashes already today that it's just not worth it, bro, to go out there and send it into the concrete wall for no reason, when most of the cars are probably going to end up finishing in the top 10 if you've kept your nose clean so far. So we already hit lap 29. So this race is speeding along. Len Sutton, Ronnie Duman, Chuck Rohde, and Al Unser still going to score a point, at least at this point, pun not intended, in the race. So run a little bit wide there. Going to try to get back on the throttle. Didn't diamond the corner quite as well as I would have liked to. Lap 30, 20 laps to go. And McCluskey's starting to close in a little bit. Getting a little bit nervous about that. In the middle of the corners, it seems like he gets to about 3 seconds. But it definitely seems like my car's better in the straight line. And it does seem like Hurtubise has the better car at the moment than me, at least. We'll see what happens, because it looks like Cheeseburg's kind of caught in traffic up there. It's kind of hard to tell because I'm kind of looking around the corner quite a ways. But I think that Hurtubise may be catching Cheeseburg, and if he can get up to him, we might see a Roadster victory in 1965. And one of the loading screens in the game, taking me to the Milwaukee race, informed me that the last major Roadster victory was A.J. Foyt at this track, but in 1964. So Hurtubise is trying to rewrite history and shock the world here by taking a victory for a front-engine car a year after historically the rear-engine cars unequivocally became the kings of IndyCar racing. Fascinating. And Al Unser is up to 7th, so he's gained another championship point. And that will almost certainly separate him from Lloyd Ruby, because I believe Ruby is not in the points right now. But I could be wrong. And yeah, Cheeseburg still caught in traffic. Again, I'm just kind of scratching my head, waiting for either A, Cheeseburg to make contact with one of those cars and go into the wall, or B, Hurtubise to catch him up. And I'm pretty sure I saw a car out of the groove there, and I'm pretty sure it was Cheeseburg, and I'm pretty sure Hurtubise is closing the gap majorly now, to the point where, again, I really think it might happen. I'm really hoping Jim Hurtubise gets it done. That would be a very special opening race for this Indy 500 month and Indy 500 Evolution career, I can tell you that. As Hurtubise is closing in on the car in front of him, but it's hard to tell, again, where I am sitting, whether or not it's Cheeseburg. There's a lot of white cars up there. It's not, I can tell it's a pink car, so he's got one lap car to clear before he can get up to Cheeseburg, but there are lots of lapped cars to come, as I'm, again, looking around the corner, kind of seeing that all developing. Seems like my car just doesn't have it. And here we go. You heard it. There's cars crashing somewhere. 24. That's Johnny Rutherford. Oh, whoa, whoa. Look at all the debris. And we've got a car stopped. That may be Rutherford, because that may have been Rutherford's wheels. Joe Leonard. Joe Leonard. Yeah, I'm just going to be careful because now things are starting to happen again. And you heard 45, that is Unser. So Unser has had trouble, and there's 2 cars down on the apron here coming into the pits. Who have we got? Billy Foster and Chuck Rohde, so cars that are not really competing for the placing positions.
Car number 19 appears to have engine trouble.
Well, I heard an impact somewhere. I heard the sound of an impact. The impacts in this game kind of sound like Lincoln logs hitting together. If you've ever played with Lincoln logs and you've kind of smacked them together, that's what it sounds like when the cars crash in this game. And I've got to be careful because some of the careful driving I've been doing has allowed McCluskey to kind of close in just a little bit.
Stop for car number 66.
Almost 10 laps to go now. It doesn't look like Hurtubise has closed the gap on Cheeseburg. But again, think about where we were at lap 1 versus where we were at lap 10. I mean, that's a huge amount of time in this race where anything can happen. And it may well happen. So didn't drive that corner very well. You may notice, again, this game kind of has a bit of a lighting engine. There was a bit of shade that happened in 1 and 2 there. It just looks like there's a little bit of shade on the track. Could be a glitch of my eye, so to speak, but I've long suspected this game has a bit of weather, dynamic weather anyway, which is kind of crazy to think about, because not a lot of games that were developed around this time had that, and certainly you wouldn't expect dynamic weather in Indy 500 Evolution of all things, but here we are. So McCluskey has really closed in the gap quite a bit. It's down to 2 seconds. So I need to start hitting my marks here just to manage this gap. Keep McCluskey, Len Sutton behind me, and hang on to this points scoring race. Because even though it looks like Cheeseburg may end up jumping ahead of us in the championship and possibly even going to the lead in the championship with a victory, we want to kind of just stay where we are because we're having a good points day when a lot of other cars are not. And that's kind of the idea when you're racing for a championship, isn't it? Outscore your competitors. And outscore them by as much as you can. Last lap was a 1:19. McCluskey is continuing to close, but it seems like it's only being like a 10th a lap. And so that would be very hard for him to A, catch me, and B, pass me at that pace. Nearly impossible, in fact, to catch me at that pace. But again, we don't want to rule anything out, because this race could turn on a dime. And again, if we hold our position, you never know. Hurtubise could get turned at the end of the race and hit the wall. Cheeseburg could crash. Cars could get caught up in somebody else's accident. You just never know. And by the way, Mario Andretti is up to 12th in the race, so he's absolutely flying through the field. And that also says to me that he was not the car that was up at the top of the track for all those laps. So not sure who that was. It may have been Foyt, because I don't think Foyt has been back out on the track for quite a while. And they are closing in behind me, down to 1.5 seconds. And Hurtubise crashes. Hurtubise into the wall. There he goes. Oh, he saved it. He saved it. He ran into the lap car, but like I said, opportunity knocks. Here we go. With 5 laps to go, we may have a wounded Jim Hurtubise up here to try to chase down for second position. Maybe I shouldn't have settled. If I had not lost that extra second, I'd be right up on the back of Hurtubise. But the chance for Cheeseburg to lose this race may have just gone out the window, because Hurtubise definitely took a risk there. and it won't pay off, at least at this point. But now suddenly we've got a hell of a race going on here for the final couple of laps, as McCluskey is within half a second in the middle of that corner, and Hurtubise is only 1.3, now 1.2 up the road. Of course, the tires are starting to get quite worn at this point in the contest. 3 laps to go. Car just doesn't have the grip anymore. Took a little bit of apron there. McCluskey closing the gap. The Lotus is good in the straight line, though. Gonna try diming the corner off. McCluskey closes in. Almost snuck underneath me there. So we are going to have a battle for this 3rd spot with Roger McCluskey. Our laps are falling off big time in terms of the speed. There we go. Got a nice run off the corner, up to half a second down the backstretch. Oh, that was so close with Roger McCluskey, and he may have spooked me a little bit because I didn't get a good run off of the corner as we come to the white flag. Last lap. Does Credit One Bank exist in this universe? Oh, McCluskey is there. We're making contact. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Come on, car. Reset. Reset. How do I reset?
The black flag is out for car number 7.
Oh no, I got a black flag. Well, I've never gotten that before. I'm still in 6th spot, though. I'm still in 6th.
The leader makes a pit stop.
I've got to try to get back to the finish line before Al Miller, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. He's going to pass me.
81 makes a pit stop.
Holy smokes.
Car number 94 makes a pit stop.
I've just got to get into the pits before Al Miller.
Number 74 makes a pit stop.
And we're going to make this black flag here.
Makes a pit stop.
And there's the drive-through penalty, and we're going to Schumacher it across the line. Whoa. 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 Hang on. What a finish. And somehow I managed to come home 5th despite the game saying I was in 6th. McCluskey must have been pitted before me. What on earth was that finish? I can't even believe that that happened. Holy crap. Oh my god. Well, you've just witnessed the craziest race ever. And we're definitely watching the replay of that finish, by the way. We just have to look through the field. Parnelli, Branson, Otto, Foyt, Boyd, all out of the race on lap 1. Leonard, Foster, Johncock, I think, are out as well. Cheeseburg still hates me. McCluskey still respects me despite that contact, so I guess he thought that that was a racing deal. But, oh my god. Alright, well, let's take a look at the replay, because that was insane. Absolute insanity. So here we go. We're watching the replay with 2 laps to go. We're 3rd place there. And this is after Hurtubise had his incident. So we're coming through 3 and 4. That was the point where we got really close with McCluskey there. He almost got into the back of me. But we were clean. It was alright. That was some good racing. White flag right here. And you can see the gap I pulled on the main straightaway. And I just pushed out wide. We made contact. Hooked wheels. And look at that crash. Holy smoke. Both of us going upside down. And I was absolutely stopped on the track. And this is where I got the black flag. Oh no. Ugh. Well, yep, here we go. And back to the racing I go. So that was Indy 500 Evolution. Possibly the craziest race of all time. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, hit the friggin' like button, because it probably isn't going to get much better than that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe for more IndyCar, Indy 500 Evolution, and Indy 500 mod content, and I will see you in the next video.